Hello, hello, it's Julie Davison from juliedavison.com. Welcome to Thursday Night Stamp Therapy. If you're tuning in live on Facebook, I'm running a little bit late, and I do apologize very much that I'm late, but I'm late because I was watching a softball game again. It is softball season, and I was enjoying Claire's game, and so I just didn't get back in time. So I'm so sorry, but I'm excited that you're here joining me. I have some fun projects to share with you. I'm trying to pick out some of my last chance favorites, and it's so hard because there's so many to choose from. So today I'm going to share with you a few of my last chance favorites. If you haven't gotten them, there's still some time. You have not a couple weeks, like 1 week. 1 week and a couple days. But today's a really great day to shop, you guys. Today is Thursday, April 21st, 2022. Look at my hands. Hi. April 21st, 2022. And today, for 1 day only, that's only a few more hours, Stampin' Up! Is offering free shipping on orders over $75 before tax and shipping. And so if you have some things that you're still wanting to get from that last chance list, how about the over 130 deals that are up to 50% off? Today's a really great day to do that. You can shop in my online store at juliedavison.com/shop. I'll have a shopping list in the video description when we're all done so that you can see all the things that I used today. If you want to get them at home, if you're ever looking for some suggestions, I can of course help you figure out what you should get because there are so many amazing things. There's a new catalog coming up, you guys, and I'm grabbing it from my table. If you've been watching my videos the last couple weeks, I have been sharing some new sneak peeks and mixing in the old stuff. Now, just last night, I posted all the details about my new catalog product share, and I'll include the link in the video description when we're all done. So you're definitely going to want to sign up for a product share so that you can try everything from the new catalog. That's all the new designer paper, all the new ribbon, embellishments. So you can just kind of have a nice sampling to get a feel for the new catalog. So that is coming up. Invoices will go out next week. The new catalog starts on May 3rd. So until then, we're going to play with some favorites. And one of my favorites from this catalog that is retiring is the Expressions in Color designer paper. You guys, I keep forgetting how gorgeous this paper is. You are almost out of time to get it. If you don't have it yet, you definitely need to get it. It's a 12 by 12 paper, and it's a specialty paper. So you're seeing a lot of gold foil accents on all of these. See, this one it's not a very good corner of it. It's a 12 by 12 paper, and it is really just gorgeous. So we're going to use some of this paper tonight. The other part of this suite is these, it's called the Expressions in Ink Ephemra Pack. Let me see if I can find my whole package. It comes with several sheets. Oh, here it is. Nope, that's not it. Right here. It comes with several sheets of these laser cut gold foil pieces, as well as some iridescent sequins. Gosh, I love those sequins. Like, I wish I could just get a whole package of the sequins. So this is really fun to make some cards. So we're going to make a card with both of these, the paper. We're going to do a couple cards of the paper, one with this, and then I'm just going to stick with the same color scheme and show you one of my favorite tulip cards that I made as a sample for Sunday Stamping with Susan and Julie. So we've got 3 projects. We're going to just jump in and get started. I will remind you at the very end about the free shipping offer, which again ends today, 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. So that is just a couple hours. Like, it is coming up really fast. Leave a comment. Give me a thumbs up or a heart if you put in a free shipping order today. I have an order I need to finalize. So I'm still in it. I'm not done yet. But I love when they do flash sales like that. Well, let's start with this card. I'm really excited. We're going to use the stripe paper from the Expressions in Ink paper pack. And I was kind of, I always love to make my cards like color coordinate. So I'm going to use some olive, although the original card that I made like this did use the shaded spruce. So I'll show you that one when we're done, and you can tell me which one you like. Now, for this card, I am going to use a couple pieces from here. I'm going to use some of the gold like spray here, like little sprig. And then I'm also going to use, this is kind of really cool. We have these different like hexagons and shapes, and there's the really skinny ones, which are like the delicate outline. But when you punch all of the really skinny ones out, you have a piece that's like a little bit thicker. And so this is a piece that we're going to actually use today. It's a little bit thicker, and it's going to just kind of frame our elements today. Well, one of my other favorites from the last chance list, I'm really sad that it's retiring. And I feel like I've been talking about it so much. If you don't have this one yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's called the Tailored Tag Punch. And there are just so many different ways that you can use it. One of my favorite ways to use it is to put the cardstock in like this and create a banner tip. So easy. You can use it for the shape. You can use it to make the banner tip. The other way that I love to use it is to make an arrow tip. So on this little piece, this is 3.5 inches by 3/4 inch. And I'm just going to put the ends in. Let's see if I can, if I can maneuver this. I'm just going to put the ends in one at a time to create like a pointy edge on this banner. Okay, so there's one end. That wasn't the straightest, but we're going to go with it. And a little straighter there. You can use tick marks like I've got if you're gonna do like the same measurement over again. You can use little tick marks that you can use to line up your cardstock. I just used like a really thin Sharpie marker to make those. So I've got this now. It's got the arrow tip on each end. So you can use it to make the banner tip. You can use it to make the arrow tip, and I've got that piece ready. So now we need some stamps. I'm using the coordinating stamp set. It's called Artistically Inked, and this one is going to carry over, which is really exciting. So if you don't have this stamp set yet, then you can still get it. It's going to carry over to the new catalog. It has some coordinating dies. I do believe though that the bundle price is ending. So if this is a bundle that you've been looking at, of course you save 10% when you get the bundle. So it's always a better deal to get the bundle. So that's going to end coming up really soon when the new catalog comes out. I feel like I cannot grab things today. So I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to do this little rose flower and some leaves. And then the happy birthday. I love this stamp set because it has a lot of really versatile sentiments. Hello, best wishes, thanks, happy birthday. So it covers a lot of bases. I think this is a really great stamp set for a new stamper because it has those basic greetings and also some really versatile flowers. Now, if you do have a die cutting machine, the dies cut the stamp images, but we also have some really beautiful detailed dies as well that are just gorgeous. Now, if you don't have a die cutting machine, you can still make a card like I'm doing, and you can just fussy cut the images. Fussy cut is what I call when you use scissors. It's fussy because you have to do all the work of cutting around it. But that's what we used to do when I first started as a demonstrator 20 years ago. We didn't have die cutting in the catalog. We didn't have die cutting machines. And so that's what we did. We just fussy cut everything. I'm going to put my stamps on some blocks. So I'm going to get out that. Now I keep my blocks in a bucket like this on my desk. What makes it really handy though is I can just grab out the blocks that I need. I'm noticing though that they are getting a little like scuffed up. So need a little rehab on my blocks, but it's really great to have a whole bunch to draw from so that I can just mount all my stamps and use it at once. Now, if you are just getting started, you don't need to have a whole bucket of blocks. You can just have one or two and clean your stamps and then take them off and put them on. So whichever way works for you. I'm using 3 colors tonight, and I'm using all of the same colors on all of my cards. And these colors are Polished Pink, Pale Papaya, and Old Olive. Now, Polished Pink and Pale Papaya are both in colors. Now, we talk about in colors all the time. There's 5 new in colors every year, but they stay around for 2 years. So every year we have 5 that come out and 5 that come in, and then 5 that carry over. So right now we're talking about the in colors that are retiring. That's Misty Moonlight, Magenta Madness, Bumblebee, Just Jade, Cinnamon Cider. And there's still some things that are available, but some things are selling out, like the refills and I think a little bit of cardstock. So make sure to stock up on all your favorite retiring in colors. But we've also been talking about brand new in colors. Sweet Sorbet, Parakeet Party, Starry Sky, Orchid Oasis, and Tahitian Tide. And those are coming out in the new catalog. So those are going to be available starting May 3rd. So we've got lots of time to order the new ones that are coming out and the ones that are carrying over, like polished pink and pale papaya. So Old Olive I brought in because of the designer paper. It was one of the colors in the paper, and that's how I decided on my colors. I was basing it off the designer paper. Okay, so on this piece, I'm going to stamp the happy birthday on that banner that we cut. Oh, beautiful. And then I'm also going to stamp the little rose on some white cardstock. Oh my gosh. Oh. Every time it is just so beautiful. This is a distinctive stamp. It's just kind of a different style of stamp where you have all these, all this detail. And this stamp set is made to look like alcohol, blended alcohol. Like, you know, if you were doing a technique with the alcohol and blending it and getting the different like darkness and the shading. It's just so beautiful. So I love that it sort of mirrors. I chose one word and then switched it. Mirrors the paper a little bit. So I'm going to stamp the leaves next, and then we're going to die cut all of these using the coordinating dies. Oh, I know I made this card already, and I told you I also made it with the shaded spruce, and I do like the shaded spruce version better. But tonight's cards are all going to coordinate, so we're trying out Old Olive, but I love that you can just color coordinate with all kinds of different colors from Stampin' Up. So whether you're choosing Old Olive or the deeper green in there, which is shaded spruce, or even there's some like just jade in this paper as well. You can't go wrong. I love pulling colors from the designer paper because I feel like they were professionally chosen, right, by Stampin' Up designers. And so I always feel really confident when I pull my color combinations from the designer paper because I know that there was a lot of thought put into the color combination, and I can trust that it's going to work, and I don't have to try to figure out myself, you know, what green, what green to stick with it. It really takes the guesswork out of it. All right, so I'm using my little mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I know many of you got your own little Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine last month when they were on sale, and I hope that you're enjoying your little mini machine. Oh no, I'm trying to keep up with your comments, and I just saw Mary Beth's comment that camping was canceled. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Sometimes the weather is a little tricky in the spring, isn't it? It's going to be, well, it is getting really warm here in central Illinois, but then sometimes it just gets cold again. Like it's really been back and forth a lot. All right, we're going to put this card together. Now, some of you may recognize this card as I am putting it together because I had a very similar card, well, the other color scheme in this this design was part of one of my monthly bonus project kits. So when you order from me $40 or more before tax and shipping in a month, then you're going to get a little project kit from me with 3 different projects and a free gift. So I don't remember a couple months ago, I think it was, I had some sampling of the designer paper along with several sheets of the gold laser cuts, and then I think also a bit of those sequins. So that was one of my favorite project kits. So this was actually one of the designs that we did, and I loved it so much that I just wanted to give it a little share again. Now this one's kind of skinny, so I'm going to use my liquid glue to add a little glue to this laser cut piece. I need to get out my new bottle because this is at the end. And I had a little cup that I was storing it in. So you want to store it face down to keep all that glue at the tip, but somehow it fell off my table. And so it's been stored on its side. Here's my new one. Let's go. So I'm just going to do a couple dots, and I'm kind of just sticking with the ends because that'll hold down the middle enough. And this is going to go over the banner and over the designer paper like that. And then we're going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals. And we're going to put that on the banner. And then we're going to kind of tuck everything else in around it. So let's see how that will work out for us. Let's go across here, right there. And then we're going to tuck the flowers and the leaves and the other little guy in there. So let's do those with Stampin' Dimensionals as well. I know I'm going to show you the other project in a minute. I really am not liking the old olive on here. The other color that I used on the card is Shaded Spruce, and it's just such a stronger green, and I think it really pops a lot more, but that's all right. We're going to finish this card with the old olive. Old olive is one of my favorite colors. It just kind of goes with a lot of different things, and so it's usually a go-to, but this polished pink is pretty bright. And so I think it calls for a bit of a stronger green. So I'm going to show you the other one. But before I do that, let's add some bling to this card. I've already lost the packaging that had the sequins. Here it is again. So just a reminder that Expressions and Ink Ephemera Pack comes with these iridescent sequins, just kind of a flat sheet like this. So you can add some bling to your project, and I love that. Just the hardest part is always deciding where to put them, isn't it? I think I like that. I'm kind of going with a little triangle. Maybe move that out a little bit. Okay. So here is the other color. This is the Shaded Spruce. So same card. I just used a different green. So you guys got to tell me which one, this or that. Do you prefer the Shaded Spruce, or do you prefer the old olive? You won't hurt my feelings either way. I will admit I do have a favorite here, and it is the Shaded Spruce. I just think that darker green, a lot, it's more, there's more contrast, and it's just a lot more of a stronger color. So this is the Shaded Spruce, this is the old olive, and both colors are in the designer paper. So if you're choosing colors from the designer paper, you'll get both of them there. And I'm using old olive on another card, which is why I decided to change it up. It looks like there's a lot of you who prefer Shaded Spruce. Geraldine does prefer old olive, and Robin and Sharon as well. So kind of split, but and Jennifer says old olive. Oh, now we're getting a few more old olives. I think it's more split than I thought it would be. I really thought you guys would think that the Shaded Spruce. But you know, like I said, you can't go wrong. They're both so beautiful. And this Expressions in Ink Ephemera Pack is just so much fun. This is actually, let me double check. I feel like it's on the sale list. And so if you don't have this one yet, I think you're going to want to grab it, because especially when it's on sale, like, you can't go wrong with that, right? It is on sale. Okay, so let me bring it in camera here. The Expressions and Ink Ephemera Pack is normally $7, and it's on sale for $5.60. It includes several sheets. Let's see if it says in the back. No, it just says one kit. It includes several sheets of the die cuts. So each sheet is the same, and there are multiples, and then a sheet of the sequins. So this is a half a sheet I've already used, so you can see it's a decent amount of sequins. Okay, well, let's move on to our next card. Now this one, we're going to use another pattern of this designer paper, and I have been sharing my Stampin' Up accomplishments with you, and I shared this card recently that Sarah Douglas, the CEO of Stampin' Up, sent to me when I reached my $900,000 career sales milestone. Well, it was about a year ago that I was reaching my $800,000 career sales milestone, and I received this card from Stampin' Up. This one was signed by Shelly Gardner, so it was so fun to get that in the mail. And I really love this card. It's so simple but elegant, and so I wanted to recreate this card. It was Shelly's card that first inspired me to get the All Squared Away bundle with the stamp set and the coordinating dies. And you guys, this is so ridiculous. It's still in the plastic. This bundle just came out in the catalog last year, so it isn't even a year old, but it's retiring. It's not going to carry over, and so you'll definitely want to snatch this one up as well. I'm trying to see, the stamp set is not on sale, but I'm pretty sure it is still available. And let's see about the dies. There's a lot of dies that are on sale. It doesn't look like this one is, it doesn't look like this is a die set that's on sale. So your best bet is to probably get the bundle where you get a 10% discount by getting the stamp set and the dies together. So we are going to recreate this card that Shelly sent. So there are 4 different sort of flower frames. We're going to use this one. And then there is a second layer of that flower, and all of these have like additional pieces that die cut the flower layers in the square. So we're going to use that little flower as well. And then on the stamps, we're keeping this simple. We're going to use just the sentiment that says, you are so worth celebrating. I love the idea of that, right? Like, we always want to make the people we're sending cards to feel special and feel celebrated. And so that is not going to fit on the block. So this sentiment works for a lot of occasions, whether you're celebrating someone's birthday or a graduation, retirement, a new job, a new house, a marriage, a new baby. There's so many reasons to celebrate our families and friends, so many different reasons to send cards and gifts for. So this sentiment will work for all of those. So you guys maybe have seen this before. This is how I put my stamps on my block. I put the sticker on the block, and then I take the lining off the rubber stamp, make sure that it's straight, right side up, and then I just line up that sticker right over the stamp. You are so worth celebrating. Well, like I said, this card is kind of clean and simple, but also very elegant. This is very much like Shelly, well, definitely like Sarah's style. If I had to guess on these cards, like which one was sent by which of those fabulous women, I would guess that this one was by Sarah and this one was by Shelly, because Shelly usually has a lot more going on in her cards, and Sarah's cards are usually very much more like clean and simple and streamlined. Although the Gilded Leafing definitely is like, I think is definitely a Shelly thing. So we're going to break down this card. We have some, I just realized they used the Shimmer cardstock. Did you know the Shimmer white cardstock? It has a really subtle shimmer. Well, I've already cut a piece, and I'm using just a thick white card base. Now, whenever you're doing a cardstock that has a white base, the thick white or the shimmer white is a good choice because it's just a little sturdier. Now, let me show you these next to each other because you really can see a difference in the color. The basic white is a lot brighter of a white, and I love that the shimmer white is more of an in-between. Like, it's not quite very vanilla, but it's more of a muted white. It's not so bright. So it's a nice option for having something that is a little bit more subtle. And so this looks like it is also the shimmer white. Let me bring out, I'm just going to bring in a piece of Very Vanilla so you can compare the color. So here's Very Vanilla, and then we've got the shimmer white and then the white. Okay, so I know they probably look really close on camera, but there's a subtle difference. So I did choose the white tonight. If I had to do it over, I would bring in that shimmer cardstock. I do have a little bit of that because I think the softer white is a little nicer. I have cut a piece of designer paper that is 3 by 3, and that is just exactly the same size that Shelly used, which is a good size because this is a 12 by 12 paper. So if you're cutting your designer paper into 3 by 3 pieces, then you're going to get, what is that, 16? No, 12? I'm going over, let's see. 4 across and 16. Yeah, I had it right the first time. So you can get 16 3 by 3 pieces from your 12 by 12 designer paper. So it's a nice efficient size to cut your designer paper. It's still pretty significant in having an impact with the color and, you know, really getting a sense of the paper and the design. On this card, we are going to stamp in embossing gold our sentiment. You are so worth celebrating. There are a couple different components that you need for embossing. And if you've not done embossing before, the 3 components that you need are a watermark or Versamark pad. Okay, so this is something we have in the catalog. This is just like a clear ink, which stays wet a little bit longer than our regular dye-based ink. So it's going to be able to stick to the embossing powder a little bit better than regular ink. So you're also going to need embossing powder. Now look how old this label is. Is there a year on this? I don't think there is. I've had this jar since I started stamping, which was 20 years ago. And it's packaged a little bit differently now. Look how big this jar is. Like, that's why I still have it, because it's so big. I don't emboss that much. I know, like, my mom embosses a lot. So she's been through many jars of embossing powder. Now the embossing powder comes in packages. So you get several metallics in the same package. Each one is in a different jar. But you're going to look for either the metallic embossing powders or the basics, which includes like white and black, I think vanilla as well. Okay, so we have our Versamark pad, our gold embossing powder, and the last thing that you need is the heat tool. And so this is what we're going to use to heat the powder, and melt it. Okay, I've got a coffee filter here. You could also just use a piece of paper, but I love Mom's little trick. I got these at the dollar store. And, it's just an easy way to kind of funnel the embossing powder back into the jar when we're done. What are we doing? We're stamping over here on our card. And so I'm just going to do a little tap, tap, tap with the ink and stamp it here at the bottom. I'm kind of wishing that I had did the embossing before I put the paper on, but I can really funnel the powder so that it's not going on the paper at all. So it's going to be just fine. I'm going to open this up and just sort of tap it. I'm kind of going downward so I don't get it on the paper, tapping it over the stamped image, and then tapping the extra off down into the coffee filter. Using my finger to kind of get those spare pieces that are sticking. We don't sell the embossing buddy anymore, but that is also a really handy tool for embossing because it helps to eliminate all of the like the static and the oil from your hands that may be on the cardstock. I just try not to handle the cardstock too much, and then I don't have too many problems. All right, so we've got this powder, and it's kind of like, it's hard to see, it's sort of dull. And as we heat it and it melts, it will start to get shiny. So let's go ahead and do that. There's 2 settings on the heat tool. You can see a 1 and a 2, and it's just sort of, I guess, the power. That's light, and that one's a little bit higher, I guess, in heat and in force. So you're just going to move the heat over the embossing powder, and you can see it's like magic. You can see as it melts, it becomes shiny and metallic. And with the metallic embossing powders, it's a lot easier to tell that change. And as it melts, like, we're done. We don't need to keep heating. It's a little bit harder to tell with some of the more matte embossing powders like the white or the black, because there's not as significant of a change. It doesn't get so bright and shiny as the metallics do. Kathy says, good to know that powder is still good. She also has embossing powder for 20 years ago. You know, I've never had any problems with my embossing powder going bad. I do keep it like in a cool, dry place, so I don't know if that makes a difference, but All right, so we've got our embossed sentiment underneath our designer paper. And the next part is going to be to cut our frame and also our flower. But before we cut the flower and the frame, this is going to get layered on here. I want to add that gold leafing design. And the gold leafing is a little bit different than embossing powder. We certainly could use the embossing powder in the same way, but we're going to do the gold leafing, which is got a little bit more texture and maybe a little bit more matte than the metallic of the embossing powder. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just do some direct to paper with the ink pad. So I'm just going to take that ink pad and I'm just going to kind of like smush it onto the on the cardstock. And I know you can't see it. Maybe you can kind of see there a little bit. Yeah, kind of see like the wetness. And for this one, we are going to use heat and stick powder. So let's get out a different coffee filter, and we're using the heat and stick powder. Now this functions a lot like embossing powder. However, it is more of an adhesive. Okay, so we're going to heat it until it is wet, but then we're going to immediately put on our gold leafing. And so we want to have this ready to go so that we can do this kind of all in one step, because the gold leafing, this is only the second time I've used it, is really kind of messy and big. So I have a little sponge dauber that we're going to use to kind of push it down and make it stick. And I'm going to try to just like, pick up a few pieces. So let's kind of have some stages here. This is going to be, actually, I think we can do all in one. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add the heat and stick powder. So that's going to stick to the Versamark. Now the Versamark does stay, wet long enough. So you can kind of see where that powder is sticking. I know it's like white on white, so it's not the easiest to see, but we can kind of see where that's sticking. And so then we can funnel this back into the jar to reuse again. So this jar is going to last just like that embossing powder. It's going to last a while, and we'll close that up so we don't spill it. Okay, so now we're going to heat with the heat tool again, but we want to be quick. As soon as it melts, we're going to put on the gold leafing and try to adhere it to the wet heat and stick powder, which is, like I said, an adhesive. Okay, here we go. Oh no! Okay, I'm gonna come over here because I was blowing the leaf. Okay, so I'm melting until I see it get wet. I feel like it should be done. And we're going to add some of the gold leafing. I'm going to just add a couple more flakes here. And then I'm going to use the sponge dauber to kind of smush it down on where that adhesive is. I feel like I did not quite have enough of that heat and stick, or I heated it too long. It was hard to tell when it was wet. So not a lot stuck to it because I think that it dried too quickly. Well, you can also use a regular adhesive. So we're going to use a little bit of liquid glue. And I don't really want it to be like so thick. So I'm just going to kind of like dab it with my finger to get a thinner layer of the liquid glue. I'm just going to, the liquid glue does wash off really easy, although it's pretty tacky to begin with. So I just have a really thin layer of the liquid glue, and it's going to work in the same way. So I'm just going to add some more of that gold leafing. And you really don't need a lot of this. Like, this jar is gigantic. I swear I'm going to have it like for probably 3 decades. And I'm just going to sort of pounce and push that down onto the adhesive. Now, the disadvantage with the liquid glue is that like it doesn't maybe set as quickly as the heat and stick powder, which because we heated, it sets, pretty quickly. But this maybe might continue to peel a little bit until the liquid glue dries completely, and that just takes a little bit longer. But we have kind of the look that we want. We have the gold leafing on there. I'm going to close up this before we make a bigger mess. And if you're concerned about the liquid glue like still being tacky or wet, you could just hit it with the heat tool and just like make sure that liquid glue is finished drying. Now, I want to tell you though, the Gilded Leafing does not need to be heated. I only did that because I had the liquid glue underneath and I want to just continue with the project. But it's not like embossing powder where it needs to be set with the heat. Okay, you know what? I feel pretty good. We did not make that big of a mess with this Gilded Leafing, so I'm going to call that a win. And I'm just going to take the coffee filter and just toss it out. Because it was like a penny. Let's get out our little mini cut and emboss machine again. And we're going to die cut from this side, the big frame, and from this side, we're going to die cut the flower. And I'll bring this back in again. So the way they had it, it didn't cover the whole flower. It just kind of covered part of it. So I'm just going to kind of do it like that, where it's not the whole flower that has the Gilded Leafing on it, just part of it. You guys are so quiet. Let's see. Yeah, I'm looking at Janice's comment. Watch where you aim the blower. I know, right? I almost made a gigantic mess. And Heather has a great question. Roughly how much time does it stay wet after heating? Well, I don't have a lot of experience with the heat and stick powder, and I think I heated it for too long. You really I couldn't see if it was wet, which is why I think I heated it for too long, because I wasn't sure if it was wet or not. But really you want to heat it and like just a little bit until it is wet, and then add your Gilded Leafing or loose glitter. And then if you are using something like loose glitter, then you want to sort of heat it again to set the heat and stick powder, so that is completely good. But I think I did the initial heating and setting all in one pass there by accident. All right. Oh, Paula said, you forgot we were live. Oh, I'm just so into it. Sometimes I just keep going and I keep talking, but we are live, guys, and I'm so glad that you're here joining me tonight on Facebook. I know some of you watch on the replay over on YouTube, and so I'm glad you're here too. Make sure you're leaving a comment and let me know what you think. Have you tried the Gilded Leafing before? Is this something that you've done, or maybe it's new? I always love to know what you guys would like to see, so I hope that you're enjoying this technique. So I just did one flower for this project, but if I were making, several cards like this, I would do that leafing on a whole strip of paper, and then I could die cut, all my little pieces from the same sheet. So you don't have to do that, that part, for every time. You just a whole sheet of it at once, and then you could die cut your little pieces and shapes from it. Okay, so let's put our die cutting machine aside again, and let's get back. We're really coming along on our card. Like I said, this is a really clean and simple card, but yet it still has so many steps. And this is totally, I just totally love this. Sort of fussy, but also really clean and simple and beautiful. My card's a little bit different. I'm not sure where that sentiment came from, but I used the one in the coordinating bundle. So we're ready to put this together. And, oh, I almost lost that. We're going to use some mini Stampin' Dimensionals on the other side of the frame to pop it up. Now, I'm not going to bother trying to get the frame because it's so skinny. I'm just going to put the little mini Stampin' Dimensionals in strategic spots on the larger areas to prop up, and it'll be enough to prop up the whole frame. So I'm just going to kind of add it to all of those spaces, and then we're going to, these little ones don't come off as easy as the big ones. We're going to add that right in the center. Oh, I almost forgot, but I think we can still do this after we get it on the card. So let's keep going. Paula says, I just rarely ever get to the lives. Oh, that's why you forgot we were live. Always running late. Well, I'm so glad. I was kind of running late tonight, so maybe that's why our timing worked out so well, because I started later than normal. It's just one of those days. Running around. It's one of those weeks for the kids. It's a very busy week. We have the school musical, which opening night was tonight, softball games, archery banquet. My parents are in town to visit and see all the kids do all their amazing things. So a little extra busy. I'm using some liquid glue to glue the flower over the other one. And I'm actually wondering if I got the right... Does that look better? No, I feel like... There? Oh, I think that's it. Yep. It's not quite a symmetrical flower, so it looks like there is a right and wrong way to put that on. Okay, our card is almost done, but do you notice the difference here? It has like a little gold thread, and it almost looks like it's not supposed to be there, right? Like a loose thread in a sweater or something. But I just love that little gold like tendril there. And so where did that come from? That came from a roll of ribbon, I think. I think it came from the Just Jade and Gold ribbon. And so I'm going to cut a piece of this ribbon. I think this is retiring. So if you don't have this one, well, yeah, it must be retiring because the color Just Jade is retiring. So, of course, the ribbon would be retiring as well. It is one of the items that's on sale. So, it's normally $6 and on sale for $4.80. This is a really pretty ribbon. It does fray a lot. If you like that look, then that's awesome. But if you don't like that look, it can be frustrating. But for this technique, it works well for us because we're going to kind of pull that apart and we're just going to pull out some of these gold little tendrils. And that's what we're going to use to tie onto our card. Now, we always say that it's good to do things in threes. So I'm going to take 3 of those little, I call them tendrils, but just like the little gold thread that is woven into the ribbon. And I'm going to take them together, and this probably would have been easier to do before I put the frame on the card, but I already had the Stampin' Dimensionals going, so don't yell at me. Let's see if there's a good way. Oh my gosh. Sometimes I make it harder than I need to, don't I? I'm gonna try to take a loop of them and send it through so that I can have, nope, that's not gonna work. It's times like these I wish I wasn't live. Oh, okay, let's try to get all the ends together, and we're gonna just try to feed it through, and we're just gonna do like a simple tie in the knot. So I'm gonna hold it really close to the end and bring it underneath. I need like 3 hands. There we go. So I'm just, oh, come on. They're so delicate. And then I'm just gonna like tie a knot. And then you can trim them too if you think that they're too long. But it's just kind of a fun little embellishment. This card is so clean and simple that I don't think you would want anything too loud as far as like ribbon or embellishment. I'm trying to hold them tight so that they're a little easier to work with because otherwise they're very like loosey-goosey and all over the place. Oh, I think I got it. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that's tight, and then I'm just going to trim. I'm just going to hold them together and just trim a little bit like that. Isn't that fun? Do you like that little detail? I think this one just has one like really long one, but I kind of like having the multiple threads in there. It sort of anchors that corner. Okay, so there's our second card using the Expressions in Ink designer paper again, and some of that gold or the gilded. Well, we did both. We did the gold embossing, and then we did the gilded leafing. I guess that's it. That's all it's called. Gilded Leafing. Okay, if you're just tuning in, we've made 2 cards tonight. Well, we got one more, so don't go anywhere. I'm just recapping. We made this one with the Expressions in Ink Designer paper and Artistically Inked stamp set. And then we made this one here. We had 2 color choices. I kind of like the darker one, but I used Old Olive in the 3rd card. So we're gonna use the Old Olive one tonight, so our cards all coordinate. We got one more card, so let's keep going. Now, if you are watching on my YouTube channel, then you know I have a special video series with my mom called Sunday Stamping with Susan and Julie, and it airs every Sunday at noon Central Time. And it's an opportunity for Mom and I to share some projects together. We usually use the same bundle or the same suite and design cards and share. And it's really fun because Mom and I live a couple states away. I'm in Illinois and she's in Michigan. And so we don't get to see each other very often. In fact, Mom and Dad are here right now visiting. And this is the first time we've seen them since Christmas. So it's so much fun to have some time together. And we're hoping to film this week's Sunday Stamping episode tomorrow morning before they leave. So you'll have to tune in to see what we create. I think we're going to use some new products, so I'm really excited about that. But this last Sunday, I made this card using the Flowering Tulips bundle with this gorgeous die cut. I colored that with Stampin' Blends and some of the Flowering Tulips or Flowering Fields designer paper. And so I also showed this card that I made. And this one is so much fun. This one I copied from I have to say, I was inspired by the mini catalog. And let me just show you really quick in here, the sample. I think it's on page 14, if I remember. Hey, I have a good memory. Oh, actually, page 16. Okay, so here was the original project that I was inspired by. It was a gift box. And so I made that into a card. And someone was asking me about the measurements, and I'm so sorry I haven't responded yet. So I'm going to do the measurements really quick right now. And if you're watching, write them down. I just kind of guessed when I did this. So the designer paper in the background is 2.5 inches by 5.5 inches. And then I have a piece of rich raspberry cardstock back here. This is 2 inches by 4.25. And then the tags are about 4 inches by 2 inches. Oh, no, 1 3/4. And so there's a white one, and then this is designer paper in the background. I die cut that tulip border, and I just glued it to the back of the white tag. On the inside, I have layers of white and rich raspberry cardstock. So the white is 3 3/4 inches by 5, and the rich raspberry is 4 by 5.25. Then just like a 1-inch strip of designer paper to go on the white. So pretty easy. I got the window pane ribbon on there. And then, oh gosh, I just love these brass butterflies. They're so beautiful. Oh my gosh. I just saw Kathy's comment. She says, the last time I used the gold leafing, I walked away to answer the door. And when I came back, my cat was sitting on my desk with her paw in the jar of leafing, and it was everywhere. Oh my gosh. Never leave a jar open on your desk and walk away from it. This stuff is seriously crazy. Like, I cannot imagine having to clean up the whole jar. That's nuts. Okay. Anyway, so I'm not going to make this card, but I just wanted to share some of the measurements. So I wanted to show you my inspiration, where I was inspired to make the card and how I adapted it to be a card instead of just a box. Tonight, I am going to do another card, and I shared the finished sample with you during the Sunday stamping, but I just wanted to kind of walk through how to make it, because it's totally my style, like clean and simple and easy. So we're going to use the Flowering Tulips, and we're going to use some of the coordinating dies. I don't have my stamps out yet, so let's just do that really quick. We're going to use the little background plus stamps and the sentiment that says, "Love you so much." Love that. And how about we'll do a little flower detail stamp. And we're also going to use the leaf stamps and the stem. And I think that's it for this one. So let's get some blocks going. I'm seeing your comments about the brass butterflies. Yeah, Alita says that she loves them. And Nancy said that there was a brass butterfly on the birthday card that her sister Susan sent. That's awesome. I love them. Well, one of the reasons I love the brass butterflies is because they are flat. So I feel like they don't create too much of you know, like bulk on the card. So if you have something protecting them, then you could probably get away without having to do a non-machinable. Now, if you don't have anything protecting them, then they might get stuck in the machine. They might protrude and get caught up on the envelope paper. So whenever I use an embellishment of any kind, I always try to include a piece of cardstock or cardboard, just like a little layer of protection to cover. That's not going to fit. We need a block that's a little bit longer, but just as skinny as this one, don't you think? I'll have to use a big block and try not to rock. Okay, we're using the same colors that we've been using all night: Old Olive, Pale Papaya, and Polished Pink, because I always love it when my index picture, I love it when my cards coordinate. Is that crazy? Oh my gosh. I better move some of this stuff. I've been just stacking things on my die cutting machine, but I'm gonna need that for this project. I guess I could use a small, well, we'll use a big one. I'm mumbling now. Okay. I've got some cardstock pieces that are pre-cut. I'll put the measurements in the video description for you when we're all done, in case you want to recreate this card at home. Now, this is another one where I had two color schemes. The original card that I made used Calypso Coral, but since we're using Polished Pink, I'm going to try that tonight, and we'll see which of the two color combinations we prefer. Let's start with the simple stamping, and that's going to be the little background, which is the plus signs, and we're going to stamp this in Polished Pink ink on the Pale Papaya cardstock. So I'm going to fold that in half, and I'm just going to add this several times, just kind of going in several directions, mostly sticking to the corners here. I'm going to do the top right corner and the bottom left corner, and just sort of moving this stamp so I'm getting some different angles on the X's. Okay, top and bottom corner. Next up, since I've got the pink out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment, which says, "Love you so much." Oh, I love that. And this is going to layer onto a little tiny piece of polished pink. It is 1/2 inch by 3 or 3.5. Let's see really quick. 3 inches. And so I'm just going to do a little dab on the back, layer that right in the center, and then this is going to go on the card with Stampin' Dimensionals. We'll go ahead and put those on and then set it aside. Okay, and then we have some pieces of white cardstock and green cardstock that are going to layer over on the side. And I should have Post-it notes, you guys. I'm so sorry that I don't. The white cardstock is 2.5 inches by 4 1/4, and the Old Olive is 2 3/4 by 4.5 inches. I'll have those measurements in the video description for you. And on this piece, we are going to do nothing. We're going to layer the white over, but before we do that, we're going to do some die cutting and stamping over here. So on the green, because we're going to cover it up with the white, I always love to do this. I love to be conservative with my paper and really get the most out of it. So I'm going to stamp and die cut from the background layer. And then we're just going to cover it up with the white, so no one's going to know that it has holes in it. Hopefully I've left myself enough room here. We're going to use some of those dies, and on this one we're going to die cut some of the bigger flowers. So let's pick out the dies that we need. This is a really fun die set. It has, let me see, I think we want the smaller one and this one. And so these are really cool because you kind of get this like injection. You get sort of that the extra texture when you die cut it. And I'll show you in just a moment. So we're going to die cut those from there. And then we have dies for the leaves. We're going to do a stem that doesn't have a stamp. That's what I'm saying. I didn't think about that one. I forgot about that die when I was stamping the leaves. So it's a little bit tight, isn't it? I think actually I'm going to re-stamp this leaf to give the other stem a little more breathing room. Now, these are all kind of tight and they're skinny little dies, so I definitely want to use some sticky notes to hold this in place so that my dies don't kind of shift around. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have some good news. In the new catalog, when it's released on May 3rd, there is going to be a brand new magnetic cutting plate. They finally got it all sorted out with production and the quality issues that they were having, and so I'm really excited. I don't know a whole lot about it. It's going to be available to order when the new catalog is released, and I'm just really excited to have that. So hopefully we won't have to use sticky notes to hold down our dies, but in the meantime the sticky notes do their job. So I'm just using the sticky notes with the temporary adhesive to hold the dies down in place. And then I'm going to bring in, I'm using the big one this time so that I can do my die cutting at the same time. So I've got my green pieces, and then I'm also going to do the pale papaya. And I'm going to say a prayer that my Post-its, that they hold. And we're going to, oh, nope, that just slipped right out. I didn't use the Post-its there, though, so that wasn't the Post-its problem. Post-its still look good. Okay, so we're going to send this through the die cutting machine. Stop moving. There we go. Crank, crank, crank. I'm off camera with the die cutting machine. I'm using the big one. I just didn't want to pull it into camera because it's so big. Let's see how we did. Can you see here that like extra texture that you get on those dies? Like, I love that. So unfortunately, like, we're not going to see a whole lot of it, but it's still kind of a cool detail on these dies. Now, these dies are kind of cool because they fold up. Let me show you. Like, you fold them over like this, and then they create like this layered look. Well, there's also then other dies that you can die cut and like layer for die cut tulips. Let me show you a sample from the catalog so you can understand what I mean. Let's go back to page 14 really quick. This is the January through June Stampin' Up! Mini Catalog 2022. And so here's an example of the layered die cuts where you've got a piece that goes in the center. Well, for this card, I'm just kind of using that outside piece, and then I'm going to add some detail with the stamped image. So let's uncover our dies and put some things away before we lose them. So I've got die cut leaves, die cut stems. I almost threw this away, but we need this. We're going to cover that up. And look, you're not even going to know. So let's get rid of that. Let's get our dies over here, back on the sheet, back in the envelope. And let's do that stamping that we were talking about. So we're going to use the pale papaya ink and the sort of stamped tulip image and just add some stamp detail onto the flower. So that when we fold that up, we just get a little bit of that detail. I love that. Now we're going to we want to add a little bit of depth here. So we're going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals, and I think maybe the little mini ones are going to be good. I'm trying to catch up on your comments. Beth says, Julie told me you can also just add an extra 1 ounce stamp to a regular to make it non-machinable. Okay, so okay, we need to clear up the non-machinables. postage wise really quick, because there was a change recently in US postage, and a non-machinable surcharge is not the same as an additional ounce surcharge anymore. It's different. The non-machinable surcharge, I think, is 30 cents, and the the extra ounce surcharge is 20 cents. So it used to be that you could use an additional ounce stamp and add that to your regular stamp, and that covered the non-machinable, but not anymore. You'd need like another 10-cent stamp. Okay, so I'm going to show you really quick. I'm going to grab them from my my stamp box. Hold on a second. I have a whole postage box like this. This is my little box I use for the Great Big Card Swap. So when you guys send the stamps, I've got them in here. There's the non-machinable stamp that you guys were talking about, and they have this at the post office. So if you take a non-machinable card to the clerk, they're going to use the non-machinable stamp for you. I send so many that I just bought this like on Amazon, and so I can just stamp all my envelopes ahead of time. Now here's one example of an additional ounce stamp. So if your card weighs more than 1 ounce, then you want to have an additional ounce stamp on it. But the non-machinable stamps look like this. This is one version. There's the butterflies. So it says non-machinable surcharge. So this is a 1 ounce non-machinable card. I think it's 58 cents for a regular first class stamp. The additional ounce is 20 cents, and the non-machinable surcharge would be 88, so 58 plus 30. Now, if you have a non-machinable card that is over 1 ounce, you're going to have a butterfly and an additional ounce stamp. You want to give the clerk at the post office your non-machinable cards so that it doesn't go through the machine. If you just stick it in the post box or maybe even in your mailbox, it's possible that it just gets dumped with all the other cards, and it may or may not accidentally go through the machine. So the best bet is to deliver it to the clerk and have your proper postage, and they will help you to decide if it needs an additional ounce or what it needs. So that is my quick little lesson. Christy says, what exactly makes a card non-machinable? Unfortunately, that can be a tricky question, and it depends on who you ask. So a card like this is mostly flat. It does have little sequins, and if you ask some postal clerks, they will tell you that the sequins make it non-machinable because it's not flat. But if you put something over it, like an extra piece of cardstock or something, that it doesn't have anything that protrudes and it's nice and even. A non-machinable card is basically just cardstock, right? Not a non-machinable card. A machinable card is basically just layers of cardstock that can go through the machines. The post office machines really they really move the cards, you like that. They really move the cards through the machines and really bend it. Now, a non-machinable card is going to be one that has bulky things like a bow, right? This is very uneven. This is actually a very thick card with lots of layers. It does have the brass butterflies, but because it has the brass butterflies and the bow, I would definitely put a non-machinable stamp on this. Things like this, especially if you don't have any layer protecting it, could protrude through the envelope and really do some harm to the postal machines. They're not designed to, to go through machines that are flattening it out. And so sometimes I receive cards, especially with the Great Big Card Swap, where things are actually pushed and protruding through the envelope, and I've received cards where the embellishments are completely torn off through the envelope because they were not properly protected and they were not non-machinable. So again, it really just depends on who you ask. This card, the ribbon is pretty flat, and so I might mail this as a regular one, again putting a piece of cardboard or something over it that would help to even it out. So non-machinable is definitely going to be something if it is uneven or protruding embellishments or objects. So some embellishments are a little more conducive to mailing than others, like the really big, thick, faceted gems. Those are really tricky. They're pretty much non-machinable because they're just so thick. and so bulky. We really got off topic here, but I hope that helped a little bit with the mailings of cards. Mary Ellen says she received a card today where the sender flipped the card front to back. So that is also another technique to protect your card, is to send it like this. Now, if you're sending to another card maker, they will understand like why your card is sent that way, and they can flip it around when they get it. But if you're sending to somebody like who doesn't make cards, they might not really understand why your card was inside out. So like a protective layer, an extra piece of cardstock. I have some postcards that I print up with a great big card swap information that I put sometimes over it. So just kind of something that evens it out. Oh, you know what? I love this tip. We're totally off topic. Hold on, guys. I gotta grab something. Okay, so another option to protect your cards is like really thin bubble wrap like this, or I love this idea of recycling packaging, right? So this came in the mail, and it was a padded mailer. If you get like padded mailers from Amazon, you could do this as well. And you just kind of cut a piece to cover up, like where's like here's one where the bulky stuff is in the middle. And so I might just put that like over the bulky embellishment or over the whole front, just to kind of even that out. In this case, that almost makes it even bulkier over the center. So like I might just cut a whole piece. This is a great way to reuse your packaging. And this, in the padded mailer, it's pretty thin. Like it's not too bulky. So you could do like a whole piece like that. Another thing that I've seen people do is use craft foam, like the really thin craft foam. And that sort of like cushions your embellishments. Okay, we're totally off topic. Let's put our card together. We have our die cut pieces and our layers here. I'm so glad it was helpful, Nancy. It is a topic like all the time when I so the Great Big Card Swap, if you're not familiar, is something that I do. In fact, coming up on Tuesday is another Great Big Card Swap showcase. And the way it works is you send in a card, I show them all in a video, and then everybody gets one back. And so it's kind of fun to swap cards this way. And so I get a lot of cards. I get probably 150 cards a month. And sometimes the cards come through and they don't have enough postage because they're too thick. So I feel like I'm really getting into detail here. There are postal regulations, right? So a non-machinable card, you can send a first-class letter that is up to 3/4 of an inch thick, and then up to 6 by 9 inches in dimensions. But the 3/4 of an inch thick is kind of a tricky one because, not 3/4, I'm sorry, that's a large envelope. 1/4 of an inch. Is that right? I think it's 1/4 for a letter. And then the large envelope is 3/4. That's it. Okay. So 1/4 of an inch thick. And let me show you on a ruler really quick what 1/4 looks like, because sometimes our cards are bulky and that makes it go into, I hate to say this, but sometimes our cards can be considered, and you might have run into this if you sent a card and you take it to the postal clerk. They might have felt that or done the thickness and said, this card is too thick. It's a package. Oh my gosh, you guys, that's like legit. Sometimes our cards are so thick, especially with embellishments like bows, that they become packages, and packages are like $3 or $4 to mail. So you have to be careful. Now let me show you, I was talking about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so here's 1 inch, this is 1/2 inch, and this is 1/4 inch, okay, between my two fingers, like that. Okay, so this actually is getting borderline close to that 1/4 inch. So you just have to be careful. Long story short, you have to be careful about how you are creating your cards to not be too bulky for cards that you're sending in the mail. And for really special cards, you know, sending them in packaging that makes sure that they arrive intact, and maybe saving some of the bulkier cards for hand delivery. All right, let's get this card going. We're using the dies here to layer our flowers and our leaves, and let's do that the other way, like this. Oh, it's coming together so nicely. Oh, yes. So Alita says she had a postal clerk put her cards in a slot to determine if it's too bulky. So I'm assuming that all post offices have that. It's like a plastic sheet, and they have like a little track, like a little hole that's 1/4 of an inch, and so they often will put it through there. And if it doesn't go through, like if it gets stuck, then they will tell you nope. So you can create one of your own using a paper trimmer and like just cutting a piece of cardstock that is that 1/4 inch thick. I just realized we've got people coming home from our play, and I forgot to put the front light on. So I'm going to just step aside really quick and turn on that light, on the porch light. Oh, it is on. Okay, I think it was on anyway. It's so dark outside, I didn't think it was. Oh. It's getting late, isn't it? That's because we started late. All right, so we're over here. We're going to go in at the corner. I'm just kind of using even amounts of space on the edges. And then we're going to add this on the, you know what? This is what I did. This was kind of fun. Kind of pulled that up a little bit, because you know I'm good at that. And, oh, I stuck that down. I wasn't ready. Kind of, there we go, put it over here, and then I kind of added that so that it overlapped a little bit. I thought that was kind of fun. And this has dimensionals, but this layer also has dimensionals, so we want to kind of double up here, because it needs to be the same depth as the here, this is 1 layer, this is 2 layers, and so that one's going to be 2 as well. Okay, let's glue these down next. I'm just going to use some regular adhesive here and get them down on the card. I'm using regular adhesive because we already have the Stampin' Dimensional kind of holding those flowers together. So we're going to do this one over there, and this one over here. And to finish off our card, we're going to add some brass butterflies. And I think on this one I just used 2. Don't yell at me, Mom. Mom is back from the play. Say hi, Mom.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. My goodness. Okay, so we're just finishing up our 3rd card. And does it look familiar?
Yeah.
I started late. So this was one of the cards, not that we made in Sunday Stamping, but I just shared the sample. So here was the original, and I told you I was going to do a this or that. So this is Calypso Coral, and this is Polished Pink, and it's crooked. And I used Polished Pink because that was kind of our color. That startled me. So leave a comment, let me know this or that. Do you prefer Calypso Coral, or do you prefer the Polished Pink? Let me know.
Ooh, I think I'm liking the Calypso Coral.
I know, I do too. Polished Pink is just really super bright. Mom, you are getting a lot of hellos. Hi. Everyone's saying hi, Mom. Hi, Susan. Oh, I know. I cannot wait to stamp tomorrow and do our Sunday stamping. All right, we were talking about non-machinable cards, and I saw Melissa says the blade trick. So the track on your paper trimmer, the paper trimmer used to be a 1/4 inch. I don't know what the new paper trimmer. So the new paper trimmer is actually like a little bit less. This looks like more like 1/8 of an inch. Oh, that's a centimeter. Okay, turn it around, Julie. Cheese. So it still is though a little bit less. I'm trying to it's a little bit less than a 1/4 inch. So the old trimmer, you used to be able to use the cutting track and you could slide your envelope through there, but this is thinner than a 1/4 inch. So that is not quite, it's not quite the same size. Okay. Oh yes, so I'm trying to see you guys. Let's see, we got Calypso Coral. I know you're gonna say that. Okay, but the third butterfly, I don't know where you'd put it.
To the left.
To the left. Here.
There you go.
Mom says 3. I still like 2. I don't know. I feel like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. So I like it with 2. Mom says it needs 3. You guys help us settle the argument. 2 or 3 butterflies. This is 2. This is 3. What do you guys think? Let's see on your colors. So polished pink, Calypso Coral. I think you guys are kind of split on this. I'm seeing really, yeah, a lot of both. Let's see what we say about the butterflies. Okay. I'm gonna keep track of this one. Okay, so Susan says 3. Jennifer says 2. Susan Saunders says 3. Elizabeth says 3. Oh no, I'm losing! Mariella says 3. Sean says 3.
You guys.
Carolyn says 3. Maria says 2. Melissa says 2. Okay, the threes have it. Ah! I'm still leaving 2 on this one. I don't care. Let's review the cards that we made tonight and wrap it up. So we did our tulip card last, and we were playing with expressions and ink. So we also did, where did my cards go? Oh, right here. We were using that color combination all night. We did pale papaya and polished pink and old olive. Yeah, I know. We really made some fun cards. We played with that expressions and ink designer paper on these 2 cards. The expressions and ink ephemera pack. We used the tailored tag punch. You guys, I love that punch. If you don't have it, you need it. And then this, what's this one called?
And they still have time.
I know. All Squared Away, the stamp satin dies we used there. The Just Jade ribbon, we pulled that gold thread from. This one used the Flowering Tulips, which isn't retiring, and the Artistically Inked is not retiring. Both of those bundles are still good. And the Brass Butterflies, are those going to carry over? Yeah, I think so. Some of the things I showed you tonight, you're going to carry over, and some of them you definitely want to order while supplies last. So we've got the while supplies last, we have 130 things that are 50% off, up to 50% off. And then, you guys, there are just a couple hours left to take advantage of free shipping. Make sure you go over to my online store, juliedavison.com/shop. You can use host code WZW4KE6B. But if you have a different host code from, I have several going right now, any one of them will do. So don't worry about it. Use any of those host codes that you found on my sites or in my videos, or this one. So today, Thursday, April 21st, 2022, this sale of free shipping with a $75 order ends at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time tonight. So time is running out. Go shopping, you guys. I'll put all the links to the things I used in the video description, as well as the link to the last chance list, my online store, the product share. You can reserve your product share reservation or your product share thing. Make sure you tune in on Sunday. They just showed me the little ticket there of the play they went to tonight. Was it good? Did you guys love it? I could not wait to hear all about it. So I'm going to say good night for now so I can hear all about the play. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the projects that I shared tonight. I sure did enjoy sharing with you and stamping. Tune in on Sunday. Mom and I are going to have a video and we're together in person. We're so excited. Have a great night. Happy weekend and see you next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody.